with this new Secretary of Education, there are a lot of people that are very upset because they say this woman does not defend public schools. And my point is this: it is time for us to stop defending public schools that are failing. Why would I defend something that is failing? Would you go in and defend a restaurant that has no one showing up to it because their food is bad? No. Would you go out there and defend someone that comes in all of a sudden with food poison and say, but please continue to go to the restaurant? No. Would you defend an department store that has terrible customer service and has a terrible product that they produce? No. Would you defend a company that made a car, for example, that had a terrible crash test rating and constantly malfunctioned, didn't run? No, you would not do that. You would never defend that. So why is it that we have so many people that are still sitting here defending the Department of Education? There are two things that have happened this week. One, a Republican has introduced a bill that would abolish the Department of Education. We'll deal with that in a second. But we also have a new person that's actually in charge of education in this country, and people are saying that this individual is a terrible person and she should never, ever, ever been trusted with the Department of Education. In fact, as many of you know, there was a tie break for Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos is a woman who understands that there are a lot of failing schools, and she's not afraid to talk about those failing schools. In fact, she has talked for quite some time about a completely different issue, which is choice for parents who are dealing with issues of having their kids stuck in a failing school. Now, Donald Trump announced that he would nominate DeVos to serve as the Secretary of Education in his administration. Immediately, everybody went ballistic and went nuts on this. And the reason why is because they said, well, this woman has actually been advocating for school voucher program, charter schools, and school choice. Why are those things so controversial? They shouldn't be. I don't think they're controversial at all. If your child is in a failing school, why would we not give another option besides that failing school? That is the idea behind school choice. That is the idea behind a school voucher program. That is the idea behind charter schools. Now, I'm not saying there haven't been issues in all three of those areas in this country. There are always going to be some issues, but nothing compared to putting your kid and keeping your kid in a failing school. There is a war right now. Unions predominantly are behind this. And I understand, I don't expect public education to ever go by the wayside entirely. I don't think it should. There are a lot of good schools. There are a lot of good public schools. But there are a significant number, especially in the South, of schools that are statistically failing. Statistically failing. And they're not just failing 1 year out of 10, they're failing every single year. You have so many different people that come out and they fight and defend these failing schools saying you cannot get rid of public education. I'm not saying get rid of public education. And this is where we need to stop defending public education in the way that it is now. No one is advocating for a child not getting an education in this country. No one's advocating for a child not getting a free education in this country. That is going to be a standard in this country. We are never going to get rid of that standard in this country. We will always have a public education system in this country. The question is, should the right of the parent outweigh the mandate by the teachers' unions to get their teachers and administrators paid? That's what this is about right now. No one defends a failing department store. No one defends a failing drug company. No one defends a company that's negligent or makes crappy goods. No one mandates that a crappy restaurant be forced to stay open through tax dollars. The only sector that this happens in at the tunes of hundreds of billions of dollars a year is literally our public school education system. Coast to coast, the only sector that we mandate keep getting funding and mandate that people keep getting their jobs and keep getting their paychecks and keep getting their contracts is the public school system when many of those schools are failing. Why are the left, I'll even say this, why are liberals so obsessed with public education? they're obsessed with it because they get votes and they get money from the teachers' unions. We should all be obsessed with getting a child a great education. That's what we should be obsessed with. We should not be obsessed with who gives that child the education. We should not be obsessed, and I hope that every one of you listening to me right now will actually hear what I'm saying instead of just running to your side and saying, no, we must defend the public schools. It's time to stop defending them. They are failing our kids. Why would we defend a system that is failing our kids? Why would we defend a failing school system if that school system is failing our kids? Why would we defend a failing school if that school is failing our kids? I care about kids. If there's anything that liberals and conservatives should be able to agree on, is that we want our kids to get the best education possible. If we agree, and I hope every one of you will share this, because it's important that we get this word out there. Many of you are watching us right now on Facebook Live. I hope you'll hit that share button and share this on your timeline. But what I'll say about this is as conservatives, as liberals, as independents, if you have a child or a grandchild, a niece or a nephew, the only thing that we should care about is what quality of the education they're receiving is. We should not be obsessed with who's giving it to them. What has happened with the public school education system in this country is we have become obsessed with the people that are providing the education and their well-being. We become obsessed with their job more than we become obsessed with the children. And that's just wrong. We should not be obsessed with the school teacher's salary, if they're going to get paid or not get paid. We should not be obsessed with the school administrators, if they get paid or not get paid. Because if they're in a failing system, what we should be obsessed with is the child getting a better education. This should not be as a controversial of an issue as it's become. There should literally be virtually no fighting over changing and updating an antiquated system that is obviously not doing its job. Look at American public schools and compare them to other countries around the world. We are falling behind faster than any other industrialized nation in the world. I'm not saying we don't still rate decently. What I'm saying is we are losing in the rankings, falling behind faster than any other industrialized nation in the world. And America should be, based on the amount of money that we spend, definitely at the top of the list, if not in the top 2 or 3. So let's deal with why so many people and the Democratic side tried to destroy Betsy DeVos. They tried to destroy the new education secretary, and they forced the vice president to go in and cast that tying vote, so it would be 51-50. They forced him to do it because of one reason. She actually advocated for the future of the children more than she advocated for the jobs of those that are employed by the public school system. That's a really important point that I hope you'll share, because that's exactly what's happened here. You now have a system that people on the left, Democrats, will defend more than they care about the child actually receiving a good education. What is wrong with school choice? And let's talk about what school choice actually is and what school choice actually means. Now, I'm going to go through this with you because I'm going to use what the internet says about school choice, okay? This is the main generic term, and tell me what's wrong with this. Quote, school choice is a term for K through 12 public education options in the United States, describing a wide array of programs offering students and their families alternatives to publicly provided schools to which students are generally assigned by the location of their family residence. In the United States, the most common, both by number of programs and by number of participating students, school choice programs are scholarship tax credit programs, which allow individuals or corporations to receive tax credits towards their state taxes in exchange for donations made to nonprofit organizations that grant private school scholarships. Okay. So school choice says we're going to give the power back to the parents for them to decide where they can get the best quality education for their dollar. And that is a choice. Why would anyone be against that? I'll give you another example. Would any of you be happy if we only had the choice of one single department store in America? No. What if you only had one single choice for a drug store that you could go to? What if you only had one single choice for every drug that's ever been manufactured? So there's absolutely no competition. What if there was only one choice of cereal? Would that be okay with you? What if there was only one choice of a milk manufacturer, and even if that milk manufacturer has problems and all of a sudden gets listeria in their milk and some people die, they say, nope, there is no other person in America that can manufacture milk but this one person? We would say that is insane. Why is it that we don't use the same logic when it comes to dealing with our children and their school? School choice is not something that should ever be looked at as controversial. School choice is something that we should be in favor of. It's called competition. It gives you different options. We would never be in favor of only having one single car manufacturer that was eligible to sell cars in the United States of America. You'd have zero innovation. You would have no innovation at all. I want to get to your phone calls and get your reaction to all this. The number, it's easy. 1-800-474-9732. 1-800-474-9732. And I'll get your reaction to Betsy DeVos and this new job. I just don't see an issue with this. Also, local number 535-9732. Hey, real quick, though, do you have a cell phone? Are you paying more than $45 a month for unlimited talk, text, and data? Are you with AT&T or Verizon? And if you are, you're going to hate to know this. AT&T and Verizon have given more than $150 million to liberal candidates and causes just like Hillary Clinton and her bid for the White House. They also supported Bernie Sanders and Barack Obama. Now, I made the switch to Patriot Mobile because of two reasons. One, I save money every month on my cell phone bill. But the other reason is 5% of my bill every month, they give back to support conservative causes and fight for what I believe in. Now, this is not 5% added onto my bill. I want to make that clear. This is out of the $45 I pay for my unlimited plan. And I get to choose where that 5% goes. Now, if you're with AT&T or Verizon, you've helped get more than 10,000 liberals elected to office right here in the United States. It's time to make the change. Use the promo code BEN. When you call Patriot Mobile, you're going to get not only a free iPhone or a free Samsung Galaxy phone, your choice. You're going to get free activation, and they will pay up to $500 a line. $500 a line to get you out of your contract for every line that's in your bill. So check out Patriot Mobile. Call them right now, 1-800-A-PATRIOT. That's 1-800-A-PATRIOT. 1-800-A-PATRIOT or patriotmobile.com. That's patriotmobile.com. And you can go to patriotmobile.com/Ben, I should say. patriotmobile.com/Ben or 1-800-A-PATRIOT. Use the promo code Ben. All right, coming up, your reaction to Betsy DeVos. Is she a killer for schooling, or is she a brilliant mind that's going to give us more options and choice? Why are people so afraid of actually looking outside the box on public education? 1-800-474-9732. It's the Ben Ferguson Show. A lot more coming up.
From the Wolf Chase Toyota Traffic Center, 600.
Hey guys on Facebook, thank you so much for watching us today, and we're going to get to your phone calls in just a moment. And I'll ask you this. Diaz is going to open up the phone lines for you guys on Facebook so that you guys can call in. I think it's time for us to overhaul public education. I'm one of those that truly believes that it is time for us to do whatever we can to make sure that children get the best education they can possibly get their hands on, regardless of what, I mean, it shouldn't matter where they're going or what they're doing. It shouldn't matter if the teachers aren't happy in the public schools. Why are we putting the teachers and their income and the teachers and their reasoning in front of everybody else? That's the part that I don't get. They should be if you're a good teacher, I would say this, you virtually have nothing to worry about. If you're a bad teacher, you should have something to worry about. If you're with a failing school system, you should have something to worry about. And there's people that say, well, don't you care about teachers? I do care about teachers. My family is virtually entirely involved in education. I understand the importance of an education. I also understand the importance of a good education compared to a bad education. And if you've ever sat down and talked to a mother that actually cares, or father or grandmother or grandfather, about their child, and their kid is in a failing school and they've been fighting it for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 grades, and they realize their kid is not prepared for junior high, much less prepared for a private school, much less prepared for college, much less prepared for SAT and ACTs, and they know that they're not going to succeed in life unless they get something better, go talk to that person and tell me why we are obsessed with not touching the public education system when their child is in the failing system. 1-800-474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. All of you that are watching this right now, I really hope every one of you will hit the share button and share this on your timeline, because this is an important debate that is going to take time to change the hearts and minds, because the majority of people say, hey, do you want to do away? And liberals are brilliant about this. They say things like, well, we don't want to destroy the public education system. They've already done that to themselves, by the way. The public education system has been destroyed by the liberals and the unions, who care more about the teachers and the administrators than they do about the well-being of the children. They've already done it. Now, I think we also have to be careful. I'm not advocating for destroying the public education system. I'm advocating for destroying the bad parts of the public education system, the bad schools, the failing schools, and giving people an option. Now, people say, well, do you really want these public schools to close up their doors? If they're failing students and we can get those students into a better school, then I don't have a problem with having a boarded up school, because I would look at that boarded up school as a smiling face at me going, all of the children that used to be here are now in a better school. I'm in favor of that. All right, here we go. We'll get back to your phone calls.
Now, back to Ben Ferguson on 600 WREC and 600WREC.com.
All right, welcome back. It is the Ben Ferguson Show. Nice to have you with us, and we'll get to your phone calls and get your reaction to Betsy DeVos. She is the 11th United States Secretary of Education. She's got a lot of background doing a lot of things, including business, giving a lot of money through philanthropies. She is also a big political campaign contributor, mainly on issues of education. She is a woman that's in favor of school choice. She's in favor of school voucher programs. She's in favor of charter schools. She even served as a chairwoman for the Alliance for School Choice and the Action Institute, which heads a PAC about all children matter and all children need a good education. This is a woman that so many people try to turn into some sort of, I don't know, the Grim Reaper of public education. If you're doing a good job in the public schools, you should have nothing to worry about. But if you're in a statistically failing school, you should be terrified that you're about to get shut down and those kids are going to be let out of that prison. When you have a child that's in a failing school, it's like putting them in a prison. The only difference is they get to go home at the end of the day. It is a prison. When you send them there and you send them to that school and it's a failing school, that child is in hell for their future. If you've ever talked to kids in a failing school, especially high school, I've worked a fair amount with inner city kids, and one of the things that you see is when you see these kids that are terrified of their future because they know that their grades are not even real. They know that their grades are fake. They know that their grades are not actual. They know that their GPA is not based in reality. If you talk to those kids, they're terrified of college, and it's for one reason, because by the time you're about 18, 17, you know if you're prepared or not for school to go to college. Now, Darren just wrote on Facebook, he said, charter schools are just another form of segregation. Okay, explain how that's possible, Darren. A charter school is not another form of segregation because children can go to charter schools in their area and many times are extremely diverse. He also went on to ask, what is a failing school? A failing school is a school where the kids are below the academic level that is expected in reading, writing, and arithmetic for the grade that they're in. It's very simple. Again, Darren, let me ask you the simple question. Why are you against allowing a child who's in a failing school to be able to leave that failing school and get a better education at another school? William, you're first up. Thanks for waiting. You're on the Ben Ferguson Show. How are you, William? Go ahead.
Hey, I love it that The system did not work. The democratic system, we shouldn't even call this America anymore because it's not acting like America. The system didn't work because their constituents, the Republican constituents, called and wrote not to put her in. But aside from that, now that she's here, I love it because this is what's going to happen. She's going to open up the charter schools. She's going to open up vouchers, and children are going to start moving around everywhere, and they're going to shut down some inner city schools. And guess where those kids are going to go? Right to your neighborhood. I love it, with that voucher. And that's where the guns and the drugs, and their attention span is low because
William. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, William. Why is it that none of what you just said had any compassion or any understanding towards a child in a failing school? You turned it immediately into they're going to come into your neighborhood trying to turn it into a race issue. The majority of kids statistically in the Mid-South where you are that are in a failing school are African American. If what you're saying is true, then who's the real racist here? It sounds like it's you, because if what you're saying is true, why would I be in favor of this idea? You're trying to act like, oh, all you white people out there, you're going to get it when all these African American students are coming into your school system, and I love it. One, it's sick that that's what comes to your mind instead of giving a kid a good education. The second thing is, I don't care where the kids go to get the education, as long as they get a better education than where they are right now. Why do you look at it almost like an issue of vengeful, like, I hope this happens for all these terrible reasons, instead of, I really want these kids to get a better education? You don't seem to care at all about the kids. You seem to care about some sort of race war.
You're not making decisions from a rational, in real-time point of view.
Okay, let me ask you a very simple question, William. If a child is in a failing school, and that school every year keeps failing that child, give me another alternative than what I'm talking about right now.
What is the reason that school is failing?
Well, it's not a money issue. It's not a money issue, William. We know it's not a money issue. In this country, we have upped the amount of money we're spending per pupil in many schools, and it's $8, $9, $10, $11, $12,000, $13, $14, $15,000, $16,000, depending on where you live in the country. We are spending record number of dollars on per pupil children in this country, and it's not turning into these schools changing or getting better. So I'm going to ask you the same question again. If a child is stuck in a failing school year after year after year, give me an alternative, because you still have not said anything in this phone call that shows any compassion towards a child in a failing school. You've only talked about race and politics.
The money is not the issue, because more than enough money is going per child in inner city schools. Money is not the issue, bottom line. The problem is, you said that school is failing. Now we have to ask, why is it failing? And once we get that answer...
Okay, so tell me, William, why tell me why so many of the public schools are failing, if you seem to know that.
Because you're dealing with children that are coming from homes that are totally dysfunctional. They didn't get much sleep that night. They didn't have breakfast. They didn't, and here it is.
So again, so you're saying that, in other words, that child is always going to be a failure in schooling because of their parents, and there's no reason to try anything else?
They need a different type of way of being taught than the way that y'all are talking about. Just send them over here.
So I'll ask you one, William, I'm going to let you think about this over the break, because you still have not answered my basic question. If what you're saying is true, then give me an alternative. You still have not given me an alternative. The only thing you've done is play the race card, wish African-American students in crime, as you said, in some jovial way on you people, referring to white people, and talked about the politics. You still not talked about the child. You still have not spoken out there's not one statement, William, that you've made that's been in support of a child in a failing school. That's pretty messed up. It's the Ben Ferguson Show, 1-800-474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. Let's get you a quick check on traffic and your national headlines.
From the Wolf Chase Toyota Traffic Center, 600.
All right, everybody on Facebook, now you know what we're dealing with in this country. William is a perfect example. And if any of you want to respond to William, I've got one line open right now, so you can have it on Facebook, 1-800-474-9732. By the way, I really hope you guys will share this on your timeline and hit that share button, because this is an important conversation that people need to hear. William is the perfect example of the left on public education. They have this defend at all costs mentality. William doesn't care about the kids. You can see that. It's very clear. William does not care about the kids. He doesn't care at all about the children in the failing schools. He goes, well, it's the parents' fault. So that's it. You just keep them in a failing school. Because if you go to a failing school, it is true. There are some parents that have absolutely no involvement in their child's life. Many of them being raised by single parents. Many of them being raised by relatives, grandmothers, grandfathers, aunts, uncles, cousins, sisters. There is a lot of issues with inner city children and the way that they grow up and the dynamic of the family. I won't dispute that. But when you go to a failing school, there are also a significant proportion of that school and with children, with parents that actually do give a rat's ass about their child's future and don't want their kid to grow up in a failing school and want their child to succeed and want them to get a diploma and want it to actually mean something. They want them to go to college. Many of them, it may be the first kid that's ever gone to college in their family. But what you just heard from William is exactly what is just blows my mind about the left. They are so obsessed, and I mean truly obsessed, with defending a failing system that they don't even realize what they're how about the children that they are failing. And you hear it with William, who just called in. I asked him 3 different times to give me an example of what he would do. Give me an alternative, because everything he says, oh, well, it's terrible on your end. Oh, well, you guys don't understand public education. Okay, then tell me the other option. 1-800-474-9732, 1-800-474-9732. I'll get your phone calls, your reaction to this, and see what you think about it. Diaz, by the way, how much time do I have until we come back, just so I know?
Minute 40.
All right, cool. Let me tell you guys real quick about something else that a lot of people have asked me about. They said, what is a school voucher program? It's pretty simple. It's a certificate of government funding for a student at a school chosen by the student or the student's parents. The funding is usually for a particular year, and they get that money, and they're able to go and use that voucher to cover or reimburse either homeschooling expenses or to cover a private school. Now, if we believe in the power of the parent and the power of the people, we should be in favor of this idea. People say, well, parents that homeschool their kids shouldn't get this money. Why not? What business is it of yours where a child gets an education as long as it's a good education? If a parent wants to homeschool their kid, that should be none of the business of other people. If that child's parents feel they can give their kid the best education home, then they should have the right to do that and use that money to cover the expenses. That should not be controversial. All right, I'll look at some of your comments here at the bottom, and again, I hope you guys will hit the share button on this. Ronnie says, my daughter had a different teacher for 3 years, and none that could pass one of their own tests. They need to test a teacher before they give them a job. I think all of us can agree with that. You've got an issue here. And Debbie just said, no child is more special than another. They are all special. I agree with you. That's my whole point here. You should have the right and there's name any sector where competition hurts that sector when it comes to business. There is no competition with public education unless you pay it out of your pocket. That's not real competition. It's just not. All right, here we go. Let's get back to your phone calls.
Ben Ferguson on 600 WREC and 600WREC.com.
All right, welcome back. It is the Ben Ferguson Show. So nice to have you with me this afternoon. Let's get straight back to your phone calls. And before the break, we were talking about, in my opinion, why it is time to stop defending the public school system when it is failing children. We should not be so obsessed with it. I'm in favor of school vouchers. I'm in favor of an education system that gives the power back to the parent. I'm in favor of charter schools. I'm in favor of parents having the ability to homeschool their child and get a credit for that so they can use it on their child's education. If your child's in a failing school, the only thing that should matter at that point is what we can do to make sure that you have more options than one. Because when there are no options, you get usually bad quality control. When you have only one option, you usually get either a price tag that's unrealistic or you get a crappy product because there's no one pushing you. That is exactly what's happened with our public education system. I'm in favor of a voucher program because I don't think it's any of my business to micromanage a parent and their decision for what they want to do for the best interest of their child with a voucher. I want there to be competition. And if public schools are boarded up because all those parents in that public school that was failing go somewhere else, that's a good thing because that means that every one of those children is now getting a better education than they were getting before. Now, William, I asked you this question before the break, and I'm going to go back to you because I always give my callers a fair shake. You don't like what I'm saying. You think it's bad. So if a parent is listening right now, and their child's in a failing school, and I could give you dozens of names of failing schools, and that kid is in the failing school every year, give them an alternative that you're in favor of.
The optional schools right now where they can go and sign up for to have their child to go, that's already in place.
Sir, you only have so many people that are allowed to get into the optional program, and that's the reason why we've seen these debacles of parents literally sleeping outside on the sidewalk and lotteries for their children to get in optional programs. There are not enough optional school classes for the number of people that want their kid to get out of a failing school. That's a fact. So that is not servicing the parents.
Okay. Now,
can we agree on that? Hold on. Wait. Let's. Okay. So that is not an alternative form. Hold on. William. I deal with facts here. That is not an alternative form of option for the majority of parents right now that are listening. When you say, oh, they've already got the optional program, that is for a select few. Many times it's a flat out issue of getting lucky. Lottery system. So if that's not an adequate response, give me another option.
I said that option is already there. Let's expand it to where every mother who has wants out can move her child around, not just a specific number. Let's expand what we already have. The point that I'm making is
how would you expand it without actually making
black people? And your cookie cutter system doesn't work for the
Wait, hold on. William, why does this have to be a black issue? You just said, I know black people and your system doesn't work. The majority of children that are in a voucher program are minorities. So it does work, William, statistically.
What I'm saying is there are children that need to go to schools like Trump did because they are misfits. And they need to go to that type of school.
William, what does this have to do with Donald Trump? You've not said one single thing in this entire conversation advocating for a child who is in a public school system that is failing. You're basically advocating for expanding the current system that's already failing the child. You're not looking out for the interest of the child, and then you keep going back to politics. I understand you didn't vote for Trump. I understand you don't like him, but you still have not dealt with the issue that I just described about the failing schools, and you still have not given me another option. Not once.
Okay. The other option is the voucher program, just like y'all are going to bring up, and that's going to probably go through. It's going to probably be voted in. What I'm saying is deeper than skin level. What I'm saying is you have a lot of children from inner city that a lot is going on, shootings, this and that. and they can't concentrate as much, ADHD, whatever it is. They need to go to a military school. And then you have another child that is gifted. They go to NUS. Then you have another child that's kind of mid-range. So I'm saying you're dealing with a different kind of people when you're dealing with the black people, and you keep giving us these cookie-cutter white programs that is not working, and that's how school fails.
William, how is this a white program when the majority of the students that will be affected by the program are minorities? That's a fact.
Yeah, but she's going to come in with countrywide, national program.
You don't know that, William. That is William. This is where you fearmonger the public, and this is where I'm going to move on from you because I've given you a lot of time. But here's what you just showed, and the reason why I talked to you for so long is because you showed everybody listening and watching on Facebook how there is absolutely no plan from liberals like you to fix the public school education system, and your plan has nothing to do with actually helping a child. Your plan has nothing to do with helping a child. Your plan did not help any children. And then you go back to race, and then you call alternative programs white programs. And it's about race with you every time. Except this is the part that's so crazy. The majority of students that would actually benefit from getting rid of these failing schools are actually minorities. It's sad that I'm advocating for minorities more than you are as an African American man, and then you start screaming racism. I'll go to your phone calls. 1-800-474-9732. 1-800-474-9732. The local number 535-9732. We'll get more of your thoughts on this, your reaction, see what you think about it. Hey, real quick, though, want to remind you about my good